learning how to think the correct way is being unemotional or burying deep down an emotion. That's not what it is. It's knowing what an emotion is, and it's knowing that you are not the emotion that is coming up. It is just a subconscious response to something. It's not because you can, this is difficult because I don't understand enough about it. I can't wait. Give me 10 years. So your conscious, which is you recognizing, ooh, I'm being emotional right now, or ooh, I'm sad, I'm happy, is different from the feeling of being happy, unhappy.
I understand
lonely,
that. No, my
sad.
point is you and I will go through the same scenario, right?
Yeah.
Scenario X. And you will literally look how you look now. Like just blinking, but mostly lifeless. And then if I ask you how you feel about it, you won't even admit that a certain emotion came up and that you dismissed it or whatever it was. Whereas me, I at least acknowledge when something upsets me, and then I can decipher, okay, how am I going to go about it to make it better and not overreact? But there's no reaction. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think
no, you give that some thought. That's a good point.
Well, somebody asked, I think it was Joe Dispenza, on if you were to teach your kid one thing, where would your main focus be? And he said that the focus would be to shorten the emotional refractory period from something happening and your response to it. Meaning somebody cuts you off in traffic and you have an emotional response of anger for X amount of time. Some people, it might be a day, right? Some people might get cut off in traffic on the way to work and talk about it all day and feel a certain type of way all day. Some people, it might be a couple of hours. Some people, it might be a minute. Some people, it might be 5 seconds. For me, I'm the 5-second type of guy. Maybe even less than that. I've practiced it enough to where when I experience an emotion, I can go through the whole process of recognizing the emotion, understanding that it is not really serving me in that situation, and that it's also not me.
And that's how you want your daughter to react?
And then I'm done with it. Good or bad. So I wish that I could quote this story accurately. Have you ever heard the story of the farmer, the Chinese farmer?
You'd have to give more detail.
Okay. So it's in regards to just teaching a lesson and not judging a moment, good or bad. Chinese farmer has a son. The son wants a horse. The story, for people that have heard it, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher it. He finds a horse somehow.
You got to speed it up.
He brings it back to the farmer, and he goes, how amazing is this? I just found a horse. We can keep it. Always wanted a horse. Farmer says, it's not, I don't know if it's good or bad. I can't judge it. Next day, the horse runs away. Kid goes to the farmer. Farmer says, I don't know if it's good or bad. I can't judge it. The next day, the horse comes back, and it comes back with 100 other horses. And the kid goes to the farmer, we're rich. We have all of this livestock. We're rich. Farmer goes, it's not good or bad. I don't know. I can't judge it. The next day, the kid is riding the horse and breaks his leg.
Ride the horse.
Let
us know if you know what that reference is.
Farmer, I don't know if it's good or bad. I can't judge it. The next day, the army comes to recruit the son to go off to war, and the son can't because he has a broken leg. I don't know if the story ends there.
So
I don't know if
it
it keeps going, but isn't that interesting?
AJ, there had to be some sort of conclusion to that story.
There was a conclusion.
Oh, folks, we lost him.
But the point is, you can't judge it whether it's good or bad because you don't know what it's going to actually lead to coming up next. So if you just kind of accept things that happen, good or bad, and you just accept that they have happened, it's very different than, like, truly accepting something is very different than just being unemotional or not. Yeah, you think that it's being unemotional. It's not.
No, I think there's a way to show that it's not easy, like acknowledge that. but that it doesn't need to take up space is my whole point to that. But that story makes sense, even though you're an awful storyteller, 1, and 2, you didn't even finish it.
I'm a good
Worst
storyteller. Okay.
But
I'm
what
a
I
good
was going to say is,
normally. I just need to know the story that I'm telling.
Correct.
I knew
Yeah,
before
that's
I
definitely
even started.
So why'd you start it?
Because I thought I could. You gotta practice.
Dad,
You gotta
take the mic.
You gotta take a shot.
But I can say that with that story, there's been experiences in my life, recent or not, where
Like the Georgia
that
thing.
makes sense. Yeah, I was trying not to say it.
That having not worked out will ultimately it already is making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It will make so much sense in the future, and thank God it didn't work out.
Well, and there was a lot of
But
different things at once that could have all been considered very bad, which you saw me go through the motions even after Georgia. And then even now, 2 weeks later from that situation, I'm like, that's no big deal. Something awesome has come along to take its place.
Yep. And then it'll always happen like that.
So I'm starting to believe it to totally bring it back to what I said in the beginning. Through experiences is how I'm learning what you've been trying to tell me and teach me all along. Like, it's one thing for you to tell me, but then once I go through the experience and I can actually like put it into action.
That's why I'm excited to start from scratch with the kid, because it's unbelievable how much is leaking from what seems like nothing. And it's not spread. Thank God, I guess. It's not spreading anywhere else.
But I bet you there's a seam right there. And when Jamie drove into the garage, it could have done something with lifting a part up, where now something's coming through a seam, maybe.
Yeah. Well,
gosh darn it, driver Jamie.
Shout out Custom Upfits. The van is freaking awesome. They are flying out to fix
that's pretty good.
the minor leak.
That's some customer service you don't get these days.
So, and it's, I mean, where it's leaking ultimately, like, it's fine. This
Comfy
is waterproof floor, waterproof couch. I'm not too worried
I actually
about.
asked AJ to take me on a road trip to Maine in this. Still hasn't taken me, but I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Okay, anyways, I was excited about having a kid from day 0, because what she's experiencing and what people will experience, I wonder if that's going to be too bright, is reprogramming. For some people, they give up on the reprogramming and they can never actually change their mind enough to make real change in their life, in their thinking process, etc. If you start from scratch with somebody and do it the right way, you don't have to reprogram the entire thing. The way you can think of what psychocybernetics does is it talks about your subconscious mind, which is your program. It is your computer program. And it calls it a bunch of different things. It references it as a success mechanism, a creative mechanism, computer, whatever it is. As you have experiences, good or bad, especially in the first 8 years, you are molding and downloading software into that computer. So when you're 30 years old and you're trying to break a bad habit and form a new habit, essentially you're trying to erase old programs and download new programs into your computer. The problem is the average person, I'd argue that this stat is probably even higher, it's 95% of the day subconscious. Only 5% of the day are you conscious. I think it's less than that. So you are trying to use that 5% of your day that you're actually conscious and outside of the program to be able to make changes to the program. That takes a long time. It takes a lot of patience and persistence and repetition. Most people give up. Most people, when I tell them to read Think and Grow Rich, they probably start and read a couple pages and then never read it again.
Well, that's the wrong book to tell people to start off on.
Now that I've read all of the books that I've read in the past, by the way, I looked up the note on my phone. I didn't read Think and Grow Rich until June of 2022. So a year and 3 months ago. It's amazing how different I am from a year and 3 months ago. And I've read, 30 books this year, maybe more. But now I know don't start somebody with that book because
oh my gosh, it's so dry.
It's amazing. It's the best still. It's the best out of all the books that I've read. But I use the term low level and high level.
Don't like it.
She hates it.
Think it's rude. Super rude.
You only think it's rude if you're low level.
I'm having your child. You better watch it.
There's levels to it. So it's relevant.
And he just started off at high level, folks.
It's relative. I started out when I started reading that book a year and 3 months ago at a relatively No, I didn't. Higher level than most people. That's not saying much. Most
Well-
people are probably pretty low level as far as their thinking and understanding how to make change, how to, you know, I was going to say be happy, but how to
Well,
just,
definitely that.
it takes a long freaking time. But if you start with somebody right from day one, that's going to be so exciting. And it makes me think that the only advantage or disadvantage isn't necessary. Like when people say children are privileged, or I think the only privilege is having a parent that is high level enough to teach you those things, to give you a giant head start in the beginning part of your life. I didn't figure it out. By the way, I haven't figured it out. I didn't begin to even start to become and figure it out until a year and 3 months ago, at age 29.
Yeah. I feel like you have to, I mean, I think we've seen it too, like with your mom. She's how old? In her early 50s, mid 50s. And just the amount that she's changed since you've been talking to her. But she won't read your books, neither will I. But just being around you and your presence. And I mean, to be in your 50s and to change, most people are probably set in their ways,
Yep. And then she'll
starting
fall
what
back
age.
into the ways. She'll emerge out.
But she
fall back
realizes
in.
it though when she
Yeah. So
slips.
that's step one is starting to have it like
That's normal.
you recognize, or you can observe how you're acting and reacting to things, and just being able to observe. So, and that's what meditation is learning to be good at observing. But
Do people in the app have any interest in this stuff? Do they show interest when you talk about it?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. If you guys enjoyed this podcast clip and you want to listen to full episodes, go download them. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I think that's it. Go download them there. Give them a listen. If you want to watch full episodes, which I tell you what, it's even better to do that. Go to club.themotoacademy.com, because Moto Academy subscribers inside of the app have exclusive access to watch the entire episodes. And not only that, the subscribers actually can send in their questions to be answered on the podcast as well. Club.themotoacademy.com. Go subscribe.